Are we good? All right, let's get
Now
this.
we're
Let's
recording.
let's let's get this show on the road
The show's gonna go on the road,
and never
drive
be
around.
aired like our F-Zero video. Let's just
F
still.
Zero, F Zero coming soon. And actually, it's actually pretty timely because now with the announcement of the GameCube Classics coming to the Switch 2, it's just right in time for it. So
I don't care. That shit was supposed to be released like a month ago.
yeah, but now it's
Well,
even it's better timing.
no, no, it's
I said,
bad.
listen, I'm on Nintendo's time, all right? And Nintendo's
Uh,
having a hell of a time.
oh well, I guess we'll have to talk about that because
I guess we will.
I think this is the worst intro we've ever done. Even though we've never just stop it.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Steve from the 8bg, and I'm here with the co-host with the most, Sterlmeister.
What's the chances that you think the other guy drops in?
That could be a surprise. That'll be great. Will be
Oh, nah, I
that.
don't think he's coming. So, wait, what I'm say?
But yes, today, well, I guess we're gonna talk about the Switch 2. It was announced last week, and since then, there's been a lot of point of contentions with the Switch 2, and a lot of information released about it. I
Are you?
discussed it in a previous podcast with Andito, and Sterl. It's kind of your first time kind of talking about it.
Wait, did you air that one?
That one's supposed to come out tonight.
Or why are we doing this one?
No, this is just a reaction to it because now there's a backlash.
Wasn't the backlash immediately after?
Yeah, it happened right after.
And then you did that other podcast.
That was more of a live. That was more of like a reaction to it because he didn't see it.
Neither did I. If I watch it now, does that make it alive?
No, but I told you to watch the parts to watch. Did you watch the stuff with about the Switch 2?
Sure.
Okay, so let's kind of go over it briefly because Sterling didn't watch it.
No,
All right,
I know enough.
you know enough, right? Yes, yes, you do.
What's there to know? It's a new system. It's gonna have games and it's gonna do new stuff. I've
Hmm.
seen most of what it can do. It's gonna
Okay.
be finally kind of like a modern system in terms
Hmm.
of the games it has. Like in terms of when I say modern, it's gonna be closer to like I would say it's more closer to like a PS
Or
4.5 or something like that.
probably PS Pro, PS5
Yeah.
Pro.
Yeah, something like that, right? But
Hmm.
it's on the go, so that's crazy.
Exactly.
But it
And
has some sneaky it might be a little more powerful than that because I don't think the PS4 had ray tracing, right? This says it has ray tracing and all
that's
that.
what it says. Yeah, I don't know if Nintendo spoke about the specs during the what do you call it, the direct.
Maybe not.
I didn't really look for the specs, so I'm not
Yeah.
really sure what we're work with entirely. I'm just kind of going by like a lot of the games that's being released on it, like Elden Ring and things like that. Those are, I'm sure, some um taxing games, and I'm sure the graphics won't be as detailed as the PS5, but it's pretty powerful system considering the type of games that'll be ported to it. Me personally, I'll tell you one thing that I do love about the Switch 2, as I mentioned before in a previous podcast we had last month or the month 2 months ago. Love the design. I love the look of it, the
It looks just
size.
like the other one.
It looks like it, but it's just
So it's,
slightly. It looks refined. You know what I mean? Like with the regular Switch, this one looks like a complete oval. The other one has
you
some
are
like
such a Switch fanboy, bro. It is
it's a great
crazy.
system. It's a great
You
system.
are we're back to where we were
Mhm.
before, where you are just
But
swinging.
it's a great system, and I'm actually considering buying Switch 2 at launch. But some of the stuff that I'm not crazy about
All
is,
right.
well,
Where do we start with this? Let's
I mean, let's start. I mean, I'm starting with the likes, right? I love the system. I love how it looks. The controllers, everything looks fine so far. They're showing, I like some of the features, even though it's nothing really groundbreaking within gaming. But for Nintendo, it's pretty groundbreaking. Like, you have a chat function. I don't know if you've seen that, but there's a game chat function that uses the new C button where you can pull up, your game chat. You can, be in groups with your friends. This is nothing groundbreaking again, but it's actually for Nintendo, it's pretty dope.
So I should be jumping for joy, huh?
I think you should be. You should be doing somersaults.
Yeah. Okay.
And then what else? In terms of games, the only two games that really, maybe there's probably three games that really captured my attention, that I'm really looking forward to is of course Mario Kart World. Looks amazing, looks grand, and I'm actually really excited to look
What?
to play it. Go ahead.
I don't know. I feel like or should we talk about the system itself first and then get to the games, or what?
I mean, aside from the system, I mean, what else? I mean, there's nothing really aside from the C button that revealed that had game
Oh, it's the
chat
same
feature.
shit, right?
Yeah, everything else is pretty much the same that we spoke about before. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
you have the magnetic Joy
Joy-Cons.
Cons, which are bigger, which thank God, what else? The mouse function, everything else is pretty much the same. There is one thing I want to talk about, but I'm gonna let you, I'm gonna give the ball to you to let me know what you think about the Switch too. Anything about the system in particular that you like, or maybe at the present. Oh, you didn't see the presentation. Never
I
mind.
watched the. I mean, I know. I watched pieces of it.
From the pieces that you
Uh,
gathered, what can you, as you're reading
uh,
right now, what are you reading right now that you want to talk about?
it's the Switch too. Yay! I'm actually maybe more excited than you might think, or maybe that I'm showing
Hmm.
because uh, for a couple of reasons. I would like to talk about it's a Nintendo system, which is reliable. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Why do
Nintendo
I say
always.
that?
Hmm.
Because my Steam Deck just died for no reason.
Really?
It does not, it only works when it's plugged in and it won't boot and you can restore it. But then I think I have to hook it up to a dock in order to have it powered on and then I can plug in something to restore it. It's a nightmare because then I have to get that to show on the TV, which sometimes the dock doesn't do.
Hmm.
It's a nightmare. So I most likely have to send it back to Valve or whatever. I might be able to do the dock thing, but that
What's the warranty on it?
1 year and it's been over a year. So it's a shame because everything outside of and I was just starting to really use it because there were some games that came out, the Suikoden remasters 1 and 2, which I was loving.
Hmm.
And one day I went to turn on my system, it just didn't work. But
Hmm.
then I plugged it in and then it didn't boot past whatever. So
Damn.
out of nowhere, it just doesn't charge anymore. And it's like I might be able to open it and maybe the battery just fell out a little bit or something. I
Hmm.
don't know. I'll check
Yeah,
before sending it in, but like that's just kind of, but I
that's
feel
a
like with a
bummer.
Nintendo system,
Hmm.
that won't happen. So I feel kind of like maybe I'll, because I kind of in my head it was like I'll just do Steam Deck over Switch in terms
Hmm.
of playing portable stuff. And one of the biggest problems I didn't like about the Switch, unfortunately, was the graphical aspect of it. 30 frames per second with a lot of games and
Hmm.
stuff like that. But boy, oh boy, I'm gonna be the sucker that pays 20 or whatever, 30, $40 I need to upgrade and play fucking, excuse my language,
Hmm.
and play Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom in 60 frames. I watch people, use computer programs to do those games
Hmm.
and I mean, those games are gorgeously like in terms of art design,
Hmm.
but to me, we're always kind of held back by being 30 frames. Like 30 and 60 frames are really big differences in terms.
Hmm.
But that game, you could tell, and even Tears of the Kingdom to a bigger extent, which is a bigger game,
Hmm.
you could tell it always was like, imagine if this was in 60 frames. Like, imagine.
Hmm.
And now we get that. That is one of the things I saw, and I was like, oh my God. And I'm not even the biggest Breath of the Wild fan, but when I got into it, I couldn't stop playing it. And I purposely didn't put that much time into Tears of the Kingdom because I know once I start down that rabbit hole, it's
Hmm.
going to be taking up 50, 60, 70 hours
Oh
of my
yeah,
time
easy, easy.
easy. But now I can let it look like the sequel it should be instead of
Hmm.
looking worse or running slow. Now it's going to run crazy nice. I'm with it. So that's kind of hype. So I'm kind of hyped that now it's kind of actually going to be able to play games looking really nice.
Yeah,
They don't have to.
I think for a fee, like usually, I think for a lot of the what they call, I guess Switch. What I forgot the
They're
term they use. Is a term they use called like Switch to enhancements or something like that.
so
So a select Switch a select amount of Switch games can be enhanced by purchasing like an enhancement
So far, the ones
DLC.
I saw are definitely the Zelda games, but
Hmm.
not all the Zelda games.
Yeah, just those two.
The other two Zelda games are going to be upgraded without the cost.
Hmm.
So, and
I
I'm
see.
yeah. So some games like they listed as like Mario
So
Odyssey and
Super Mario. Oh yeah, Mario Odyssey. That's like a free one.
yeah, they had a whole list of games. It wasn't a lot. It was like
Hmm.
12 games or something that will probably play better. I mean, games like Mario Odyssey and stuff to me, I don't know how much better like they're gonna like that
And
game was always 60 frames, right? I feel like it
I
ran
believe so. Yeah,
60.
it ran pretty smooth. So that was 60
Oh, but
frames.
maybe because now this can do 120, maybe it'll do that. I don't know.
Hmm.
Maybe it'll kick
Or
it
it
up
could
like
also
that.
probably they probably might utilize the mouse controls. Like maybe like just to kind of test it out and things like that.
Yeah. So I'm that's actually I'm kind of hyped. Well, let's just jump into this topic. That's the meat and potatoes. Let's talk about pricing.
Pricing. All right. So me, I saw the price. I think the price for this, if I recall correctly, the price for the Switch 2 is
If
going
you
to be
recall correct.
450, right?
Yeah. Yes. So stop
And
acting like you don't know. Like, oh, I
no.
wonder.
I'm just thinking
Oh,
off the top of my head
there's
because I
two
don't
price
have
points,
that.
449 and 499. One has Mario Kart and the other one does.
So the one that's 500, that's close to 500 has Mario Kart in it. So personally, I think the price for the hardware checks. I think it's a reasonable price for what you get with the Switch 2.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Um, the games.
Wait,
Uh,
one thing I will
mhm,
say that's kind of disappointment, which
yeah.
I don't understand. I guess it keeps the cost down,
Mhm.
but no OLED screen?
So so I'm not tech aficionado like with like the screens and audio, but from what I read, the LCD comes pretty close to what an OLED provides because from what I heard
No.
from a comparison, I could be wrong because I haven't seen it myself. So
Uh-huh.
this is just word of mouth that I'm going off of.
Okay.
The Switch OLED does really good with blacks. Like, it really,
That's the whole point of what OLED
OLED.
does. It,
But with the HDR and the LCD that they're using, combined, it makes the overall picture look better.
I mean,
So,
HDR is good for colors and it makes the colors
mhm,
pop more and things. OLED does all that, but you also
have those deep
get
blacks.
those blacks, and those
Hmm.
you notice in areas of any part of the game where it's displaying black. Like
Hmm.
the LCD will be lit behind it, so
Hmm.
it will look kind of grayish like that because an OLED takes all individual. It can individually light each pixel. So
Yeah.
when a pixel requires black, it just turns
Hmm.
it off. Whereas a LED has a backlit screen,
Hmm.
so it can't necessarily get those. And it does. I mean, it
Make a
does make
difference.
certain things look really good. It's not like the
No.
biggest deal, but I'm just kind of. No, I don't guess I'm shocked, but now, like, are we gonna get a Switch 2 OLED down the line?
Yeah,
Probably.
I think so. And I think what they're being smart about it because now they give
And
you
battery life.
LCD and then later on, once the system's been there in the market for a while, by the time they get to a switch to OLED, I'm sure when the OLED technology will be a lot more affordable or actually cheaper, you know, compared to now.
Eh, we don't
No,
know. We don't know with all this other stuff with
oh yeah,
money.
tariffs, yeah.
We
But
don't know. So we're gonna. That's the whole part of this.
speaking of money, right? So you talk about, the OLED and everything like that and, money. Um, the games. Wow, Nintendo is really setting a trend, or I guess
So
they're starting a rumored trend. So games on the Switch are gonna Switch 2, I should say, is gonna range between $70 to $80.
is that what they're saying? Like 70 is gonna be the minimum?
So Donkey Kong Bonanza is going to be sold for $70, but
Right. I
Mario
know
Kart
that.
World Physical Edition will be $80.
Right.
Now,
But do we know any other games that are?
that's what I know for right now. And there's a lot of, back and forth with a lot of stuff. Like I heard, for example, a lot of the Switch, the Switch 1 games that are coming to Switch 2, like
Yeah.
Mario Party Jamboree, that's gonna
Yeah.
have like that special edition for it. It actually comes
Yeah.
with a Switch 1 game and a download code for the Switch 2 features. And here's the thing that I really don't like about the Switch 2 is that a lot of the game cards are not going to have any games in the card itself. It's just essentially a physical key to download the game to the system. So essentially, the game cards have no data for the game, maybe or very little data for the game, except for you to download the game, and that's it. So that's one
Yeah.
thing that really disappointed me because
Um,
I'm a big physical collector. I like to have my actual games on hand and not required internet to always play every game. So that's one of the
well,
things that
yeah, I
really.
mean we're moving into that age where it's really I mean,
But I'm
even
surprised
they
Nintendo's the one to do it though. That's the thing that surprises me because I always felt like Nintendo took more conservative steps. Like they'll be the ones to really, you know, try to take slow steps. I expect more of that. I mean, that's actually happening on Xbox and PlayStation 5 anyway. And it is moving to that direction, but I'm just surprised that there's absolutely no data on the cards except for to download
you
like.
know, I remember I don't know if this is true or where I heard it from, but they used to say even back in the day when you bought a cartridge
Mhm,
or a CD that it was still just a license and it never was like not that they're
yeah.
gonna come into your house and take it away once your license is up,
hmm
but I heard even like a cartridge, like a physical media,
hmm
was literally just a license and not,
I, I
I
would I wouldn't be surprised. It's funny. I actually remember like VHS tapes. For those we're of a certain age, so we know VHS tapes, right? So VHS tapes. Anytime you used to have it, they used to give the FBI warning that always said that you cannot show this video
yeah,
to a certain amount of people or
or
they're gonna
something.
fine or something like that. So it's essentially letting you know that these are the rules. I mean, can they enforce it? You know,
It would have to be in
it would
some
have to
kind
be
of
like
crazy court
crazy
case.
situation. Yeah. You know what I mean? But most cases, they can't stop you from showing a movie, a VHS movie at a party or at a family gathering. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But at least you always have it for yourself, physically, as long as it physically can last. But now we're moving into a digital age, which, has its pros and cons. It's very convenient to play digital games. You don't have to carry a whole bunch of physical things for you. But again, the downfall is if something happens to that system, if the company's no more, you can't download that game. And what essentially you have is just a hunk of plastic that's useless.
Yep.
And
I got a lot of that.
yeah, and we've experienced that throughout gaming with games like a lot of online games like SOCOM, online only games that they have
Yeah,
like.
they have a really relatively short shelf life especially if the
Yeah.
game doesn't
Mag,
take
you can't really play that game anymore. You
can't
know,
no you can't play that game. I don't
Yeah,
think
it's
there's
it's impossible. So, certain games it's understandable they can't be played, but now you're encroaching to a lot of games that may become classics, and it's going to be very disheartening to see a game like a new Mario game that's only down online only, and if something happens or s- something, and then the game's no more, you never physically have that game. And I know we're moving into that society, but I guess you know it's hard to see and even though we know, because I know we've been talking about it for years that we're moving into the space. When you actually are in it, it just feels kind of jarring. Like, damn, like I wish we just had some more time, or I wish we can still have our the physical and the digital.
yeah. I mean, it sucks, but I don't know. Maybe emulation gets so good it won't be an issue down the line. Oh wait, that's a bad word.
Don't say
Um,
the E word.
wait. So, uh, you wonder like I wonder how much Metroid Prime 4 is going to be. I was looking for a price, but there's no price on
Yeah,
it.
I don't think it's a price right now. It's probably gonna be $70, $80. And Nintendo, just to get you guys heads up, during the direct, Nintendo didn't really show any pricing. And that's for good reason, because they know that
Could it?
if they showed it, I feel like it would have been a lot of backlash instantly. A lot of this is coming out from like other sources, talking about the Switch. Go ahead.
Let me. I don't know how. I don't think. I feel like Mario Kart being $80 may have some value. I know they're gonna probably have DLC and stuff down the line,
Mhm.
but Mario Kart, I think value wise about how long people will play. Like you'll be
Yeah,
playing Mario Kart
for a long
for the
time.
next 10 years. You'll
Yeah.
be playing like how long were people playing Mario Kart 8? That they
Yeah.
paid 50, I know they had
Damn,
DLC, but even before that,
damn
how
near
long
10
we
years.
right. So I feel like I'm not even gonna lie. I don't think that's the worst thing because of that type of game.
Mhm.
Now I get it. Yeah, it is pricey because we're not used to paying that kind of price for games. But I feel like, well, first of all, we could always rewind and go back to the days
Yeah,
of
64 games was
SNES.
like 70, 80.
How much was Chrono Trigger on the SNES? That was $80.
Oh,
People are like,
wow.
yes, SNES, Chrono Trigger
And
was
that's
80,
that's like
and
90s money back
and
then.
people are talking about, and that's one of the greatest games made and stuff. But that game was $80 on release. Right, there were N64 games that were
Yeah.
$70. Plus, you needed some. I remember to play Quest 64, one of the worst games. You had
Hmm.
to buy the game, which was $69.99. My grandmother bought a Babbage's or something. Then
Hmm.
you needed a $30 memory card because for whatever reason that game was one of them few Nintendo 64 games that you needed a memory pack for.
No, no, a lot
I,
of games needed a memory pack. I'll tell you that.
well, though I didn't play a lot of them, but I played.
Hmm.
That was one of them. Like I can't. What other games required a
Like
memory pack?
WCW, a wrestling game.
Well, I didn't play
A lot
that,
of
so
sports games required it. What else?
I don't
And then
see
some of
like.
them, and some of them use the, some of the games that could save on the card still use the memory part for things like, ghosts and things like that.
Ah,
So,
yeah, I guess ghosts and but to me, it's like, yo, y'all got cartridge. They literally could build save data into that. Please, there's no way you're telling me in Quest 60, even if you can only have one file,
hmm.
But why I gotta pay $30 to play this $70 game?
Hmm.
Anyway, so $80, yeah, and I think we gotta we are at a point the development of games are just
It's
starting,
high.
they're not able to recoup it charging $50-$60 anymore. Who knows how much Grand Theft Auto 6 is gonna be?
So, oh, that's another thing too. I want to kind of bring up as well because there's always been a long-standing rumor
It's gonna be
the
a
game's
hundred.
it's gonna be $100, and I think with Nintendo coming out and saying we're going to do it for 80, I feel like it gives it more credence that it actually is going to be $100 because
It might. And then look at it. If that game looks as good as it does and stuff like that,
Mhm.
like
But once
it's
Grand
a
Theft
hard.
Auto, once either Nintendo or Grand Theft Auto goes to these high prices, all games will gonna is gonna skyrocket at that point.
But also all games got to be careful because not everybody people are gonna buy Grand Theft Auto. It's
Of course, yeah,
Grand
yeah.
Theft Auto.
That's already it's already cemented. Yeah, this is gonna be
Even
the best
Mario
seller.
Kart, I think people will eventually, like, people are
Mhm.
complaining and stuff, but it depends.
But
If the Switch
can I play
2
devil's?
is,
Go ahead. Mhm.
well, if the Switch 2 is good, because what I would throw in is, now Nintendo's not perfect. When they released the 3DS,
Mhm.
that was high priced,
Yeah,
and it was, people were like, we ain't buying this,
yeah. They because they
and
had no value.
so no value. I don't,
I
yeah,
mean,
I guess
nowadays,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I love 3DS, but I'm saying at the time of
It's a
launch,
great system, but
but
like,
no value compared to the
right?
what are you giving us?
What was
The
it? two
value wasn't there.
fifty?
It
It was
was
like
like
250.
250. Yeah, it was ridiculous. Even
Yeah.
back then, I was like, yo, that's a lot for this.
And so,
Yeah.
yeah. And to me, I'm like, okay, they know they gotta be careful,
Hmm.
especially with a new system launch. We'll see how
Hmm.
it goes. You don't, will this won't be as bad as the Wii U,
I don't
right?
think
No
so.
way.
I
But
feel like,
they gotta be careful.
so I'm gonna play devil's advocate, right? But being that Nintendo goes hard, you not go hard, but their mantra is not really about graphics, but they're using, I want to say older, I don't know, older technology, but
Mhm.
or they're using a system that's not keeping up with like the PS5 and Xbox Series S. Shouldn't it be cheaper in that case? Because
What do you mean?
they're not, really trying
The
to keep up
games or
with
the
the
system?
specs. Well, the system itself, the system is not,
It's portable.
it's portable, true.
That's the thing.
Mhm.
It's portable. You know what I mean? If it wasn't portable, they could probably build it a little heftier, a little bulkier.
Right.
And
Mhm.
I feel like that's the big aspect. So what was what was the Switch? $299 when it launched?
Yeah, 299, I believe. Hmm.
So this is $150 more.
Yeah.
It is a lot to ask because it's generationally you don't normally jump like that much sometimes. You don't want to.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like PS3 to PS4, they learned a lesson
Oh yeah.
about being expensive, and so they,
Hmm.
now PS4 to PS5 was more expensive, but I think everything was just getting expensive at this
Yeah, I think you
point.
kind of realize that, okay, at some point, like things do get more expensive, and that's why I wasn't, the Switch being 450. I feel like it's for what we get going through or where we're at right now with technology. I think it makes sense. You know what I mean? Games. I know games at some point will have to go up. I'm not surprised it's $80, but like you mentioned, with Nintendo's quality of games, it's almost going to be worth it.
I mean,
Um, but
let's not forget, Tears of the Kingdom was $70. Is
that's true.
$70.
Yeah, that's true. Hmm.
And people are kind of like, but people bought that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So like,
Hmm.
there are some. I think Nintendo
I, th- I
kind of.
they have a niche with if it's Nintendo because you get a certain quality with their
Yeah.
games. So, you don't mind paying that premium. Just like how Nintendo back in the day, or actually still to this day, their games never went on sale. Like,
They barely go on sale. They
yeah,
some yeah.
they might go on sale every once in a while, but I'm saying you're paying if the game came out $50, it's gonna be $50 for the whole time.
Whenever it's regular, yeah, it's never
Yeah,
gonna go lower
you
unless
never
it
go,
becomes like a gold edition or
yeah, or
something.
something
Then
like
it
that.
does. But then I feel like uh I forgot what I was gonna say. It's like
No, also too, I was gonna mention that also too, since they're less working with less powerful hardware compared to the competitors, their games, you would think their game, their I guess their budget for games or the way they make games would be a lot cheaper than something like,
well, once again, Nintendo's gonna sell their games
Mhm.
for a certain price. Now, what are I don't think that means like Elden Ring's gonna be 70 or oh my God, he's
Mhm.
here.
Okay, here
Uh
you go.
so I don't think
Mhm.
games obviously that are multi-platform are gonna hit like that high price point,
Mhm.
but here's what I was saying. I was like, at this point too, when people are like $80, like, what do you, if you're buying the Switch, you're gonna most likely, unless it's just so hard to find. But I
Mhm.
feel like they're gonna be pumping out this Mario Kart version of it where you can just get it for 500.
Yeah,
To me, there's no point where you're just
that's
buying
the
it and I'll
yeah.
say later I'm gonna pay $80 and go get Mario Kart. That's like if you have a Switch, you should have Mario Kart. Like
Yeah, I mean that's a given. That's why they're selling it packed in together because they
right,
know
and
that's the
and
future
and then
seller.
you get it for cheaper. You get it for $50. And
Hmm.
like to me, that's like who I don't know who's buying it down. I mean, like it's kind of stupid. They should
I mean,
just
I think those people who are probably going to get it are going to be the ones to get it because they sold out of Mario Kart, edition.
but let's
So,
also take one other thing into consideration, which is
hmm
very maybe underrated. Not
hmm
underrated, but like it's gonna be completely backwards compatible, right? For the most part, right?
yes. So that's another thing too that I liked about it. It's pretty much almost like a Switch One killer because once you have the Switch Two, aside
You
from some
don't,
games that it can't play, you won't really need the Switch One again. You technically
right?
can play all your games on the Switch Two
Yeah,
as normal.
with some
Again,
convoluted disc switching thing that they showed or something. I don't know.
with the switching.
Remember they had some kind of you had to take a cartridge from one system that you digitally bought and you
Oh
have
yeah,
to
yeah.
put
So
it
there's
on
a thing now
another.
where you can transfer your data. Like, oh yeah, it was kind of
That
cool.
was so confusing, but I was
Hmm.
like, I mean, I got what the purpose of it, but at the same
Hmm.
time, it was like, man, Nintendo always got a way of making something a little bit more prehistoric and caveman like than
Hmm.
like,
That's the
you know.
Nintendo way.
Oh,
What's going on? The Pro
hey
Box.
guy.
All right,
Going on,
guys.
fellas?
Oh, what's your okay? So we were talking about Nintendo Switch. We both put our pros and cons.
Okay.
Uh, so let's start with all your cons because I know. What you got? What you got for us, man? What do you know? What are you thinking? What are you feeling?
What are you
No,
feeling?
I think where to start. I think people are overreacting about the price. That's for one.
Oh, on my side. All right. Okay.
I think people are
Go ahead.
overreacting. People are overreacting about the price. And I read an article earlier this morning, and it was a pretty good article that summarized all of Nintendo's consoles since the first one ever, adjusting for inflation. The cost
Right.
of each console. This isn't even the most expensive.
Yeah. And I was telling Steve how I was like, does anybody remember how much Chrono Trigger cost on the SNES?
Right.
$80. Back then in the 90s, Chrono Trigger was $80.
That's what,
Adjusting
see.
for inflation, that game is about 160,
170 or something like crazy.
$200 today. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I definitely do.
It's a great
The
game,
only right,
but
but the problem, I think this is we're kind of at a point where I feel the paying again $80 for Chrono Trigger back then is a lot for a game that I'm not. Again, I don't know what the hype was. But let me just preface by saying that games today that cost $80 to $100 for games that might just be okay, right? That's the
mhm.
problem. But paying $80 for Chrono Trigger, I gladly pay that,
But you know,
knowing that it's Chrono Trigger. But the problem is, if the $80 is now the normal, how can you distinguish between what is a Chrono Trigger worthy game versus what is just
but
So
that's the thing.
nonsense?
It's always subjective. But another thing too, I think another point of contention that a lot of people were upset about is that It's not only the physical $80, but also the digital.
Yeah.
Digital
So
games are gonna be $80 as
I
well.
I will agree
And
with that. I
so
agree
it's
with that.
like,
80 paying $80 for a digital game, that
mhm,
is a scam. It should be like at least minimum. I mean, keep been saying that minimum of 50 because if there's no distribution involved aside
mhm.
from electronic.
Yeah,
that's a
60,
good
maybe
point.
70 pushing it. But then also too, now that you have these key cards, because I'm sure you heard about the game key cards, right?
Yeah.
They're essentially just digital, digital downloads that you have physically, a physical key you put in. There's no data in the cards. So essentially, all games you're going to play on a Switch 2 or that Switch 2 games is all going to be digital download games. And
You
on top of
see,
that, too, being that they're all digital download games, they're only giving you 250 gigs in the Switch, which is,
But it's so easy to upgrade that storage. Like,
yeah,
I
you
mean,
can
you're
yeah,
gonna
I
upgrade
have
was
to
gonna
do
that,
say
that.
like
but
even
that's another cost as well.
Yeah, but I mean, at this point, like every
Mhm.
system. If you got to do that. I mean,
Mhm.
even my Steam Deck, which I had whatever, rest in peace. But even my Steam Deck, uh, I had to buy a 512. But that stuff now is like it is not. It is an extra cost, but it's almost like you get a decent 512 whatever for like $30, $40. It's
Yeah,
not
that's
like
sure. I know, but
I don't
remember,
know
also
something
too,
something.
remember, it only uses express cards, so they don't use regular SD cards, express
Oh
cards only.
no.
yeah, but still, it's not like that stuff is like crazy expensive either.
Hmm.
It's
So I was saying to Steve, when you were saying about you came in talking about the kind of game, like oh it might be $80. And I was
Mhm.
saying to Steve, like, I mean, outside of DLC, certain games, especially if you're like they're just they're gonna be the games you probably are playing for forever. So for instance, like, and that's why I was like,
Yeah.
when they're saying like Mario Kart $80, like, Mario Kart, like, I still play Mario Kart 8. You know what I'm saying? Like, so in terms of like value, I think those games, though, that kind of game is gonna have long legs. I don't think every game they're gonna put out. Obviously, like you see Donkey Kong or whatever is $70 and
Crazy.
stuff. Right. But I was telling Steve, I was like, I bought, Tears of
Pat,
the Kingdom, which is
you wildin', Pat. Crazy,
Tears
Pat.
Tears of the Kingdom
I mean,
are
$70.
I said it was $70
Yeah,
on the Switch, right? So I'm like, uh,
Well,
and
games like I think games like that, I, Zelda, in my opinion, is like a Chrono Trigger type. It's you when when you buy a Zelda game, you're in for something. Like
right.
the expectation's pretty high that they're going to deliver
but
on
but
that $80 value.
something. A lot of companies can say, yeah, we made a game that's similar to this kind of game, and we think it's worth this price.
They're
What's
not gonna
similar?
get away with. They're not gonna get away with it though.
What's
Mhm.
similar to Zelda?
No, I'm saying I was just
There are a
saying,
lot of clones,
there's a lot
but
of clones. Yeah,
no
yeah,
one's
like
gonna pay seventy
No,
dollars for a
yeah,
Zelda
Rising
no
clone.
with
one's
something
paying
Rise of the
that.
Phoenix. But I'm just saying, for example, a lot of companies may try to push that as well because they'll be like, hey, we worked on this game,
But they're
and
gonna
maybe,
We
fail.
don't care.
yeah,
We don't care. We
I
don't
think
care.
like I think they're
They,
gonna
that,
really they know better. But the thing about Nintendo, like I say, like I feel like their pricing is not necessarily so bad in terms of like what you're gonna get. They knew
mhm.
Tears of the Kingdom was gonna be this explosively massive game that you could spend hours and build Metal Gears and build whatever you want inside because of the way the game works.
I can't talk
But
about what I thought just came to mind
but
about
wait,
building
but
things.
but let's say then they released Echoes of Wisdom. They knew
Mhm.
not to put $70 in that. That
Yeah,
game's not
because yeah,
$70.
the way the game is structured and how it
Or
looks,
some,
and
but they to me it's like
they know.
they'll look and say, okay, can we, maybe the next Mario game might be $80. The 3D, the next
Without a doubt,
3D,
without a
the next
doubt.
3D. But I bet you if they make a 2D Mario game, they ain't gonna charge you $80 for
No,
it.
New
They
Super
just
Mario
no.
Brothers.
Wonder 2 and whatever. Yeah, they're not gonna charge you. So I mean, oh
Oh,
God, what happened to my camera?
what you do?
Uh-oh.
Uh, what?
All right.
What?
Well, so this means Justin. So Justin,
What the?
go ahead.
Yo,
I give Nintendo a lot of flack. My Switch died. I've had my Switch since like
holy shit.
Mhm,
Yeah.
for the release.
mhm,
Um, the one thing I will say that Nintendo does very well is they definitely do have a lot of like creative. Nintendo's definitely the creative platform between
mhm.
the three consoles.
Oh, definitely.
I could definitely say that whenever something comes to Nintendo, it's gonna be like WarioWare, that kind of stuff. That's
Mhm.
what Nintendo's like
Yeah, they're always
really
looking to
good at.
innovate with their games, and
Yeah,
and
but
they have a history of quality.
that being said, I think my praise for it kind of stops there because when
Mhm.
you look at certain ports that are coming to it, like Elden Ring,
Mhm.
I can't you can't compare Elden Ring on PC or I guess
PS5.
PS5 to
However,
Elden Ring on the Switch. Like it
however,
Mhm.
okay.
you can take this and go outside and play it. Whereas the PC, I know if you want to, like, first of all, one of the things too that is drastically kind of under, I don't think people realize is when you play in a game on that small ass screen,
Mhm.
the graphics and stuff do not need to be because you just can't see it. But the one thing you can see on a small screen, which a lot of their games are going to run, is frame rate. So if the
Mhm.
game is running at 60 frames on that screen, I'm gonna be all for it because I was like, that's why I was like playing when I was playing a lot of my Steam Deck stuff. I noticed that I could play games that look kind of graphically impressive, even though they were running 800 by 600 and whatever, because it's such
Yeah.
a small screen. So a lot of those details and stuff that you want, when you're playing 4K on your PC, not gonna matter. Now, battery life, I don't know. They said battery life didn't sound too impressive,
Yeah,
but
I hear about that.
to me, the
What did it say,
idea
like 6 hours? Something like that?
they was like two. It said something like three to six or something like
Yeah, I
that.
guess depending on the
Damn.
games,
Definitely,
'cause I'm sure a lot of games are probably gonna.
yeah. But to me, that's one thing to consider. Like, yeah, it's definitely not going to be PC quality stuff. They said ray tracing. Like, what's that going to look like? Like,
Mhm.
but
Wireframes.
the fact that to me, when I saw games that they were showing like Final Fantasy VII and all, they're saying now you can play these games on your Switch
On the
anywhere.
go.
It's not the streaming crap that they had with some games where you only could stream it, like
Uh-huh.
Resident Evil or something.
Mhm.
You had to play a streamable version. No, now you can play these full games. You got a 2 hour, 3 hour road trip, or you're going to work. You can still play this game. You can still play your Elden Ring on the road. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's,
Mhm.
as opposed to just you had to be docked to your damn computer at home. And I
Yeah.
think, and then like the first Switch to me, it felt like you could play games on the go, but a lot of times it was these like not graphically impressive, not these mainstream games that
Mhm.
now you're getting these big heavy hitters that you can play now officially on the go. And I think
Mhm.
that's why they spend so much time showing these ports. Look at all these games now you can play. Like obviously mostly people probably play these games already, but like
Yeah.
you couldn't play shit like that on the Switch before without it some heavy ass compromise or something. Now it's like that's not a thing. And now all these companies are like, well, now we can make our games on the Switch and not have to either like,
Compromise it too much.
make a whatever
It's like a
the
separate
FIFA Wii
version.
version that they put on the Switch. It was like FIFA
Yeah,
Wii,
that's
jokes like that. Now they
crazy.
don't.
Speaking of costs, I'm gonna kind of pivot a little bit, but I don't know if you guys saw one of the games that they offered on the Switch 2. It was called I guess Welcome to Switch 2 or Welcome something.
Oh my God. I don't know
So
what exactly that is, but it's like a tour of the system, right?
yeah,
And you gotta
and
wait,
and
you gotta pay for this?
and
Fuck
you have to pay
yeah.
for it. So
ten
when I saw that, I
dollars.
said, you know what, Nintendo could have been really cool and give you like that
You
free
got
game, kind of make it like
That
their Wii Sports, like
you gotta pay for a tutorial? That's
yeah, pay for a
crazy.
tutorial. It's gonna have mini games. It's gonna go through every feature of the system. But I'm like, that should have been a
I
pack-in.
I don't know what it does,
That's
but there's
crazy.
no planet where I would defend that.
Yeah, so
That's
it
wild.
breaks down all the technology within the Switch, and I think it's a genius game. But to pay for that, and
Bro,
I'm sure that's $80 too.
someone's gonna it's $10 and someone's gonna I saw it
I
because
mean,
they showed the
yeah,
price. They
it's
showed
not too
the
bad. I'm kind of joking, but it,
it is bad. It shouldn't cost anything.
yeah, I think that should have been free. I think that should have been just
And it's like
a tech
who's
demo.
like someone's just gonna make a YouTube video 5 minutes
Yeah.
later that will explain everything that does. And you don't need like to me that is Nintendo being like Nintendo right there.
And,
Like
and and I think that's a little bit tone deaf because if you look at the PS5, they gave you Astro's Playground or Play World or something like that
right.
for
Yeah.
free on the PS5, and that game is really good. Like it's a really solid platformer, and it
So
comes
wait,
free, and it uses all the features of the PS5 controller. And I thought it was just a genius way to not only get you acclimated with the features, but play a great game. Nintendo could have done that with this, but I think they, maybe they missed the ball like with Wii Sports because it was a pack-in, so they missed
Vice
maybe money or something like that. So they're like, all right, let's charge for everything.
So
Vice News has an article, and the
Mhm.
mhm.
headline says Nintendo has confirmed the price for the Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, and it's gonna run you a Lin-Manuel Miranda play.
What?
It's just
Wait.
a play on words. I'll see if I can send it.
Oh,
I'll send it in the chat.
so let's talk something. We can continue a little bit. I think this is the big elephant in the room about it.
Mhm.
All right, we're not talking politics,
Yeah,
but
Tariffs.
tariffs.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean, you
Yep.
can't ignore it. It's happening.
So Nintendo pulled back their pre-orders, right?
Hmm.
You can't even pre-order because they're looking to see how these tariffs will
Hmm.
affect. Whew. And if all that's going to do, if they do affect it, it's just going to make everything more money. It's going to cost more.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
That
Yep.
means the games are going to cost more. The system's
Hmm.
going to cost more. What do y'all think about that? And let's try to make it like not political.
Yeah, I mean, of course. I
All
mean,
right.
it's just where we're at right now. You know, there's gonna be tariffs and things like that. I know Nintendo, tried to prevent this from happening by changing one of their manufacturing manufacturing areas from, I guess, maybe from China to Vietnam. To maybe kind of counteract the possible tariffs. But if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. What I see Nintendo doing now is, we're kind of going in a direction where a lot of systems were, region free, for a long time. But this is kind of going back to the old school ways where the Japanese, from what I've heard, the Japanese version of the Switch 2 will be cheaper, but it'll be Japanese only. Like, it'll be, Japanese, region locked. And the US is gonna have, of course, their region lock as well. So we're actually clamping down on a lot of things that, before was completely, given, so I don't know how that's gonna affect games from now on, but I feel like that's kind of like I don't want to say a disservice, but it's kind of sad to see we're stepping away from kind of having like a unified, system where you can play games from anywhere and you didn't need to have a separate system.
I'm sorry. This guy eating is just
Sorry.
This guy gotta eat, man, gotta eat.
So
wait.
sorry.
Because at first I was like, "Oh man, I like this guy's hair." I was gonna ask him. I want to see his hair some more, and then it's just see him trying to eat.
I was trying to just like this.
It's not making any noise, but it's kind of funny.
I was trying to be as subtle as possible, but it wasn't working.
Nah, man, eat your food, man. Eat your food,
Yeah,
man.
eat your food. It was not eat it because
You want
that was just that gave me some laughs. I needed that. That was funny.
I think that these tariffs are like it's not that it's inevitable, but it's not Nintendo's fault.
Yeah,
I know,
Nintendo didn't put the tariffs out.
yeah.
but
So
like I
they're
don't
just
like. I wonder
they're just the victims.
how much more do you think it was gonna make things like
It's probably gonna be a
$20
lot.
more, $50 more,
Maybe, but
$100 more?
my fear about it is this. My fear about all this tariff stuff is that the prices are gonna go up, and it's gonna be a conversation in like a year or two where when the tariffs are if and when these tariffs are removed, people are gonna go, well, today's price is not yesterday's price, and now this is the new normal. And
Mm.
now
Yeah,
we're paying
that's what's gonna
now
happen.
we're paying now they've gotten used to us paying $80 for games. Now they've gotten used to us paying $700 for these consoles, and they're gonna go,
Man.
all right, well, tariffs are gone, but today's
Well,
price is today's price.
let me
Imagine
ask
if
you a
it
question. Do,
makes
do you
yeah.
think
Go
it will
ahead.
have an adverse effect on the gaming industry? Like, do you feel like games won't sell as much because of the tariffs? Because let's say that they're in place, and then not only are games getting more expensive, now you have these tariffs. Do you think that the industry will suffer as a whole?
Yeah, everything's gonna suffer a little bit.
I
I think
don't.
just everything being more, it's like it'll be just people will still get things, but I think it's gonna get to a point where like those times of maybe buying two games at once, and you're just not gonna do it
Yeah,
anymore. Uh,
Honestly, I
you
feel
might,
like maybe this might make people more selective. Maybe this
yeah.
might make people say, look,
sales numbers are
you
gonna
guys,
go down.
yeah, you guys better
Mhm,
come with some really good AAA. If you want AAA money, you got to
mhm.
come up with a AAA product.
But that's the crazy thing because now the game everything's gonna go up, right? So like developing games is gonna
Yeah,
be more
and
difficult.
yeah.
Game development prices that's part of the issue with games today. It costs too much money to make games,
Mhm,
so they either make games that look really great but are like 3 hours long or something like
mhm.
that because of just all the graphics, or they make games that are like just all over the place because they just have a million people that have to make a game now.
Yeah.
It's not like a small team because you need someone that can do ray tracing, and then another guy that works on the shadows, and then they're separate from the story guy, and then they're separate from the scenarios dudes, and then they gotta, and it's a nightmare.
The assets.
Did you ever see? I forgot what studio was it. I think it was the Marvel or some studio, but this was like 3 years ago, and they were showcasing some new technology from like Unreal Engine and ways that they can make they made live backgrounds. Like you know how normally it's like a green screen, and then they have like some stuff in the background, and they show in all the CGI stuff. What this was able to do was it was like a fully immersive room that was like a 3D environment, and what they could do is they had certain controls and features where they can say create an explosion in this section and make it go out there and there'd be an explosion. Change the kind of explosion, or they could basically create dynamic environments and dynamic situations in real time.
So with AI is taking over.
Well, yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah,
but the ability for them to create all of this stuff is definitely not cheap. Especially looking at I'm still playing through Final Fantasy 16 and seeing the special effects in that game. But again, that's a game where I'm like,
what is this guy doing?
That's my game, man. I love that game.
We went back and forth a while ago. And I was really shitting on it.
I bought him the game that's how bad I wanted him to play it. I bought it. I would never buy nobody nothing, but I knew I wouldn't say it was going to be his favorite game, but I knew he would like it if he gave it a chance because he played the demo. He's like, I don't want to play this, and that's how I bought him the game. I was like, please, now it doesn't cost you anything, just play. And he's like, oh, okay. I kind of see what you're saying now. Like, I don't care. And I just want somebody to talk to about it because nobody I know has played it. I think it's phenomenal, or at least it's something I want to talk to people about. But anyway,
so say that. Question.
I'll save that for later. But go ahead, Steve.
I was say, have you guys seen the accessories for the Switch too?
They are selling another Pro controller with a C button.
Yeah. You know what C button does, right?
Oh, that's right.
The chat button.
They make you got to pay for the C button, right? Nintendo Switch.
But they said the old one works still. So
it still works as well. A lot of the stuff will work.
To be honest, I don't understand why people were up in arms about that too. Like, oh, you got the console so much, and now you gotta pay for the. I'm like, all right, let's look at this like this. Nintendo Switch Online costs $20 a year. PSN is $120 a year. Xbox Game Pass is about that much also. Why are people giving Nintendo shit for $20 a year?
Here
is beyond me.
Because what we've entered in an age of internet where people will complain about anything and everything. It does not matter what it is. People hate everything. There will be a guy that will come in and just not like something. And because think about it, I don't get too off topic, but one of the things that happened with YouTube, he was one of my favorite creators, and he was doing it as a joke, but it became so popular. The Angry Video Game Nerd made a career off of shitting on old Nintendo games. A lot of times he'll talk about it where he says he actually likes a lot of those games, some of them. He just knows, like, he created a character and did it, and it was kind of a funny thing. But it spawned into this whole thing where there's so many people that angry reviewer, and there's, but people like shitting on things, and it gets views. Like, if you watch a lot of YouTube channels, when they say something, this stinks, it gets a lot more views than people that actually just review things to see how they are, good or bad. Once you come out with a negative, people love that. It gets more attraction.
That's a different kind of topic, but I wonder what the psychology is behind. Is it like the simple adage of misery loves company, or what is it?
It's just, I think when putting something out there,
almost.
Yeah, it's like people like to see shit bomb.
Yeah,
they like to see a good fucking disaster, and it's just, I don't know what it's. There's something about it.
Like, it's funny. There's a guy who makes Final Fantasy 14 raid strats. Like, he does like football play level raid strat, like graphics and all the kind of stuff, and he makes it simple so people that aren't as quite like up to speed on certain things, they can follow along and they can progress.
Bro, what is going on in the background? What am I hearing? Are you watching a movie or like?
Sorry, Anika's watching the movie.
Tell her to turn that shit down. Hi, Nika.
Gerald says hey. So does Steve.
What's going
She says hey.
on?
I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
you're good. But but this guy makes these raid strats for Final Fantasy 14. He's been doing this for a while, and they're
Uh-huh.
very like they're animated graphics and all kinds of stuff. And he articulately lays it out so it's easy to understand, easy to follow, and people that have an issue with picking this stuff up can follow along pretty well.
Mhm.
People have been saying, "Oh, I don't know why he does this. I can't understand why people that do this or all these begin all kinds of shit online." And all he's trying to do is just help people understand how these fights work so they can progress through certain things. And people shit on this guy for just helping people.
It has nothing to do with them.
There's
They'll be
none of
like,
this.
"Oh, it's too easy. If you can't figure this
Yeah.
out, you're a dummy. Why is he making?" That's just people.
This is
But
yeah.
let me bring it back real quick. I want to look at something. I want to look at some of the games real quick.
Mhm.
Okay.
Just to get people's yes or no, nay, do they care? So one of the big third, we already talked about Mario Kart. We didn't really talk much about the Donkey Kong.
Oh, I loved it. I love that when I saw that trailer for Donkey Kong, I loved it. It was just like so cool how he's just, destroying all the environments and, it just felt different from the Donkey Kong that we're used to. Like I feel like the Donkey Kong from Rare kind of like was kind of seeped into like that culture for a long time. And ever since Nintendo revamped that area, revamped his design and brought it back to the more old school, look. I think, it's actually felt, he actually feels a lot different. So he's like a fresh take.
Uh, so I'll say real quick. Yeah, that trailer was way cooler. That game looked way cooler than I ever thought it
I
could be.
I didn't think
But
I'd be, expecting like a Donkey Kong game like that. But when I saw it, I'm like, I want to play this. This
but
looks
that's the
fun.
other thing too, because when's the last wasn't Donkey Kong 64 like the last 3D real Donkey? I mean, he had like Jungle
Yeah.
Blast and all this other crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But when's the last time they had a regular Donkey Kong game?
I mean, they had 3D Donkey Kong game. That was like the last, I guess, free roaming 3D Donkey Kong game. But they
Which
actually had like
was
Donkey Kong Returns for the Wii.
no, that was two. I'm saying when
That
was the
was
last?
That's 2D, but that's actually like the same Donkey Kong game in the vein of the Super Nintendo one. But those were technically Donkey Kong games and Tropical Freeze.
I know those were like Donkey Kong Country games, but to me it was like I don't know.
They're
I
still
don't know.
Donkey
I
Kong
just feel
games, right?
like
It's just like 2D. That's it. But
eh,
this is actually the first, I guess, 3D roaming Donkey Kong game they've created, like you said, in almost 30 years. So it's kind of,
well, I
but it's
guess
not
this
even,
is
but it's not even the
it's
same
not
thing. It's
even
like a
rare,
whole,
right? It's not
it's a
rare
whole
though.
different kind of attitude,
It's not a rare.
philosophy.
It's not a rare game, so it's
Not a
not a
rare game,
not a
but I feel,
collectathon
Right.
garbage. Not that rare is bad. I'm sorry, guys.
hey, watch your language, all right?
Yeah,
I
some
love
people.
rare.
Oh, Banjo Kazooie is so good. All right. Kirby Air Riders. Anybody care about that?
Come
I
on, man.
didn't.
Kirby Air Riders, come on. It's like it's Kirby. I mean, it's interesting that they use Sakahiro, what's his name? Sakurai's name
It's
in the
from.
trailer. It's
Yeah.
it's from him. I know he created, the Kirby thing and stuff like that. But I feel like they did that so that they can just get some extra attention to the game
Yeah,
because
because
it's Air Ride.
I didn't. Well, but this is a new game. This is a new
It's
title,
a new
right?
game, but like the last one came out on the GameCube. Kirby Air Ride, I don't
So,
think it's
but it's
really.
not. I don't. This one's not like a.
It's
Is it
not a remake.
not?
It's a
It's
sequel,
like
I
a new
guess.
game, right?
New
Okay.
game, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm willing to give it a chance, but it's not something that I'm not really interested in it until I see, I
Okay.
guess, more footage.
Okay. For me, this one's big
I
because
already know what it is.
I might replay them.
I know what it is.
Breath of
Yep.
the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom with 60 frames per second. Oh my God! Can't wait. Can't wait. I will pay the upgrade fee. I don't give a fuck. I'm looking forward to that. Um. mm, okay, Justin. Metroid Prime 4
Yep, that's
Beyond.
it. That's it. That's it.
Oof.
That's my selling point.
I don't even care how good. I just want to play a new Metroid Prime.
Yeah.
So I just want to sit
Well,
and scan things.
well, Justin, which one you getting? You getting one? You getting for Switch One or Switch Two?
What?
This Switch one don't even work. He gotta
Bro,
get his.
my Switch don't get me. My Switch died
Uh-huh.
right at the end of Super Mario RPG.
Trying to render that game. It's
Yeah.
just
It died and then it never came back on.
No,
This-
I flew. I was flying back from Vegas. I turned it on, and it was like Nintendo, and they just turned it off, and it never turned back on.
Wow.
That was it.
yeah. Well,
I took it to a guy, and he looked at it, and he goes, "Yeah, your Your board is just done.
Yeah, it sounds
I
like
was
the
like,
board
well,
is
what is, I was
fried.
like, well, can you at least get the save data off of it? He's like, probably not. I was like, all right, well, I'm done with it then. What can I do?
Did you have any cloud game? Oh, you probably didn't have. Was on internet.
I have no idea. You know what? Look, at this
Yeah.
point, it's been so long.
Mhm.
No matter what happens now, I'm fine with.
I
So
think Nintendo has
I've
cloud
made
saves. I think if you have Nintendo
no,
Online, they have cloud saves.
they do, but I just again, I don't know. Like it's not like
This wasn't.
Steam or it's not like Xbox or PSN where it's like you can see it in the cloud and you know
Yeah.
it's there. The
Mhm.
Switch is like maybe
maybe have it, maybe
doesn't
don't.
tell you anything.
But I would check the website. If you go to Nintendo, like sign on to My Nintendo or something like that, maybe you might
Steve,
find it there or something. I don't
The
know.
funny thing to me is,
I've made peace with it. I'm fine.
yeah, I was gonna say
I'm fine.
this wasn't so devastating that he went out and bought another Switch. He just said, "Fuck it." So-
Yeah, and it was funny was last year I was debating like should I buy a Switch or wait and buy a Switch and wait, and then you heard
At
this
this-
news of like Switch 2. I was like,
yeah,
you know
at
what?
this point,
At this
I'm
point,
done.
it's might well get a
Why?
Switch 2, and then because,
Yeah.
like I said, I think the Switch 2 is the Switch 1 killer. If you know,
Although I did have an idea of buying like a secondhand Switch on like eBay or something for like $50, because apparently if you
Okay,
trade it in, you get a credit of like $180 towards the Switch 2.
yeah, you probably getting them play with that $50, man. You don't know.
probably get a box.
shit-
Be careful.
that shit would be one of them
People send you
Chinese-
those boxes. You pay $50. This is your
That
box.
Chinese Switch
Nah,
too.
it's gonna be one of those people
It's
that send you
white.
like a light switch.
It's gonna have a Switch shell, but play like all Nintendo games.
It's
and shit.
like
We plug it in.
800 games, and it'll be the same
801.
NES games.
The controllers don't even come off. It's just.
I'm like Game and Watch.
All right, next. Kirby and the Forgotten Land. I've never played that, but it's another, and I don't know, but I want to. It's a game that if I had it, I'd probably play it, but I right now, like, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it looks interesting. I don't have, like I said, I don't have the urge to play
It,
it, but
it reviewed well.
I'm willing to give it a chance.
Now, I know this is like one of the games where we just gotta all group up as boys and do it.
Oh,
But
what is it?
I'm telling you, this game is fun because my friend has it and I played it. But Super Mario Party Jamboree is kind of fun.
Really?
It's kind of stupid, but it's like they kind of went back and they're like, okay, we get it. We know what people liked about like Mario Party 2 or older ones. There's still a lot of random garbage, but like for the first time, like when Mario Party came to Switch, it had all these stupid gimmicks. Like it was like you had to use the Wii remote for like Super Mario Party. You couldn't just, and then they kind of fixed it with the next one, but this one they like really, to me, I don't know, got it right. I think it's fun, but and you can play online, but I feel like you got to get a bunch of boys and get some drinks and to start playing Mario Party all night.
You see, that's what I feel about Power Stone.
Hey, it's coming with that collection, man.
Power Stone 2? You kidding me?
Power Stone 1 and Power Stone 2? Oh,
It's coming. It's coming.
You have PSN or no? What do you have?
Yeah, I have PSN. I pretty much have everything.
How come I never see you online?
Because
I just haven't had a chance to play.
This guy doesn't play, man. He's money making working man.
This sour sap.
He's either playing game, he's either working or he's like editing videos or not editing videos because he still hasn't uploaded our shit. But
Steve was like the Dave Chappelle of y'all want to know how I feel about the war? Y'all know what I really think? All right, let me tell you. Thank you very much. Good night.
Yeah, that's Steve. Next game, which Pokemon Legends Z to A something.
It's a hard pass for me.
I
know
a million people love it, but
it's a hard pass.
I'm gonna tell you this. I played Pokemon. Was it Sun?
Legends?
Leo, not Legends.
Oh.
It was an old
Red,
one.
blue. How far back are we going, Steve?
No. This is a 3DS one. The Sun, Leo, something like that. I forgot what the title was, but it was the enhanced version of Sun. And man, that game was addictive. Like that just reminded me how addictive and fun Pokemon games are. So, I'm willing to, I may try that out, because
this is Legends though. This is not like
I know it's
this
not
is
that
Pokemon.
It's different, but I was just saying Pokemon
Do you
games
remember that game we played? We had to link up all of our GBAs. It was it Golden Sun? No, was it Golden Sun? What game was it?
Bro,
What was the game?
Shining Soul 2.
Shining Soul. That game was so much fun.
Bro,
that game was great.
Mad random, but I actually replayed it recently and actually beat it.
Really?
I played it on my
hot as heck desert,
dry as heck desert, hot as heck volcano, cold as heck. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like the game is basically like a Diablo clone, but
it's fun.
I don't know why. It's so basic.
It is,
but it's
so much fun.
It's so addictive. It's for Game Boy Advance. Sega has a Shining series. We had Shining
Mhm.
Force, and one of the games they made was on Game Boy Advance called Shining Soul. Which
That
no, we
game.
didn't play that, but for whatever reason, I bought Shining Soul 2 and kind of let people play it, and then everybody bought it. Justin bought it. People down the block bought it.
Alex
So
got it. Lace
yeah,
got it.
so
We
then
were
we were.
all.
It was like one of the few times where we were able to get everybody with a link cable and
Mhm.
play a game, and it was like four of us running around these dungeons. It
Oh, it
was
was
so
great.
much fun. It was
That's
unbelievable,
a rarity for
and
those
it's
link cables.
rare. It's
That's
rare
what you
that,
need.
but it's rare to play a game and get everybody on board.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
everybody, and we all did. That was like the one rarity where we all had, and it had like 8 different characters. So you just pick your starting class. Like the story was bare minimal. The game was hard as balls.
Bro,
But
I remember like trying to level up and you just go, you have to hit one enemy like 10 times just to kill him, and the enemy hits you once and you're dead.
when you died, you dropped all your shit there. It's
Yeah.
like you had to go back.
It
It
was
was very
rough.
Dark Souls like, because if you died again, your stuff disappeared. Like if
Wow.
you died before getting back to
Like
your
pre
stuff.
Dark Souls.
Yeah, and it was difficult, man. And then
I got a strategy down packed. Right before
Yeah.
I die, just turn the game off.
because it does reset you back to the no, but if you didn't quick save, it would send you
Right.
back to your previous save or something.
Yeah.
All right, wait. So let's keep going. The welcome tour, we already talked about that. I can't believe that's a thing.
Should be for free.
Drag X Drive is an online 3v game.
I'm not gonna lie. I like the concept. I like that you have to use the two Joy Cons as mouse to use a character who's like in I guess a paraplegic, or they're just using the wheelchair as their mode of transportation in the sports game. I think it's kind of, it looks like another Rocket League type game. I think it should be fun. I buy it.
Okay. This is a big one. GameCube games are coming to Switch too.
What?
F-Zero GX.
What?
Oh, you didn't know that?
Wind Waker, yeah. Yeah.
You didn't know that?
Wait, is
Game-
it gonna, is
GameCube
Oh, it's
game.
it's under the new banner,
Online
Nintendo
play.
Classics. So it's no
Is
longer
there-
going
Nintendo
to
Switch
be
Online. It's Nintendo Classics.
online play?
I don't know if there's gonna. Steve, did they say
Online
anything
is
about
zero.
online play?
So yes, actually F-Zero GX will be available to play online with the Nintendo Classic system. Yeah, so we can all
This is
play
the best news I've heard all year. This is it.
F-Zero GX.
This is the best news I've heard. Do you know how long I've wanted just any F-Zero game online?
What?
Any F-Zero game?
That's your wish.
Any
And then,
F-Zero game?
I think Zelda is going to be the original, I guess, Wind Waker, but it's going to have like slightly enhanced, like
That's
I guess not graphics, but I guess
Oh. So wait, does that mean Fantasy Star Online episode 1 and 2 are also coming too?
they didn't say
I
that
mean-
yet. I think they
I
only
mean,
showed
it was on the
Zelda,
game. It was
Wind
on the-
Waker.
it was on
They
the- it
showed
was on the
F-Zero
GameCube.
GX. They showed
GameCube.
Pokemon Gale of Darkness, stuff like that. I don't know.
it. Might be. I don't know if they, because first of all, that would be Sega having to do that, and then I don't know if that game,
can last
Oh.
in today's environment.
the
I think it's
way it is
too archaic.
Yeah, that's
with
true.
servers and the way it's built. All right. I'm not a big From Software guy, but the Dust Bloods.
That was an
It's
interesting
a
game.
new From Software game coming exclusively to Nintendo Switch.
But I don't think I saw it. It was an interesting trailer, but I just feel like it didn't really show any gameplay. So
Right.
until I see gameplay, I don't know how to feel about it.
PvP VE multiplayer action game, Bloodborne vibes. I'm sure it'll be good. Elden Ring. I've never played Elden Ring. It's one of those games where I have it and I just haven't played it. I'm going to play it.
Me too. I literally played like 15 minutes of it.
Justin, you played Elden Ring, right?
I love Elden Ring. It's a good game.
Okay.
I'm not great at it, but it's a lot of fun.
Like I have a cousin who doesn't really play games a lot, but he actually bought Elden Ring and he put 100 hours into it.
Yeah, some people swear it's like the best game ever made.
It,
So
it is a very good game.
I'm gonna play it.
Yeah. If you do play, please let Alex and Chris and I know.
Yeah,
so
nah,
we can
nope.
all-
Well, I'm gonna be on PC, so go away.
Nah, I think I have it on PC.
Oh,
I think I have it on PC.
I'll let y'all. I mean, if I play it, I'll stream it. So y'all get on and torture me or whatever. Hyrule Warriors: Age of Imprisonment,
Yeah.
prequel to Legend of Zelda 2. I mean, that'll be
You know
whatever.
what they need? They need Fist of the North Star, Ken's Rage. HD.
All right. Good night, everybody. This podcast is over. Deltarune. Newest chapters will launch on the same day as Switch 2. Deltarune, I know. I don't know if most of you anybody knows
Is
about
that
that.
sequel to like Undertale, right?
Yeah, it's
Or is it
and that-
a sequel?
Well, no, not a sequel. It's next game made by but it pretty much has that same vibe. It's same guy made it. Literally, Deltarune is a switch around of the word Undertale, which is um. But it launched for like the first two chapters launched for like free, but it's kind of been whatever. So the next two chapters, I played a little bit of it. The beginning didn't hook me in the way Undertale did, so I never really got around to it. But I'm sure everybody swears by it the same way, but I don't know. I never play Hades, but everybody talks about how good
Oh,
it is.
Hades is great. Oh, that's a
So
great game. It's a great
hate
Yeah, I never played that either.
roguelike game. So good.
so Hades 2 and stuff will be on Switch. That's not a big surprise. Final Fantasy 7 Remake Intergrade. That's a game that I have and still haven't played. I also have the second one, the Rebirth. I'm waiting to I want to beat Final Fantasy 16 first and then get to that, so we'll see. That's coming to Switch. Cyberpunk 2077 is coming. I wonder how that will run.
That's gonna be crazy on the
It'll probably run. It'll probably run because they got it to a point where I think it's okay. It should be all right. Street Fighter 6, which is awesome.
1024 by 768 resolution.
Years 1 and 2.
A game I really want to play with somebody. Split Fiction. I really want to play that with somebody.
Those games are really good. I've been playing. I played
It Takes Two.
And it is such a great game.
Yeah, I want to play Split Fiction with hopefully maybe I'll get a girlfriend or one of you assholes and we can play it.
It looks like a fun co-op game.
Right. Yeah, really the way they did the first game, Takes Two, it probably is so much fun to do.
You know what it is too? It's so innovative and intuitive in how they guide you through the game. So even if you're not really used to playing games, it just guides you so smoothly that it's easy to pick up and play.
I've seen some gameplay of it, and I think the one thing I do appreciate about it is rather than having a co-op game where it's like you're doing the same thing on both screens, it's like you have different activities, and the activity that one person is doing is dependent on the activity that the other person is doing, and so it's like it really emphasizes that cooperative.
Teamwork.
Right? Yeah.
You know what? You know another game that does that really well, but I don't I only played a little bit of it because I had a friend that came over and let's play it. Fucking You ever play Portal 2?
Portal. I played Portal. Not Portal.
I
played the original Portal.
So Portal 2 has a 2-player mode that you have to work together. The puzzle solving in that, when you remember it's like in Zelda when you figure out some of the puzzles and you're like, oh my god, I feel like Portal 2, same shit. Some of the puzzles, oh my god, when you figure them out and you have to work together and get both of you to do certain things at the same time. Amazing. I really kind of want to play that with somebody. So I don't know, one of these guys, Justin, one day, instead of playing like Halo like we were doing, let's play like Portal 2 or something. Let's do that. All right. So now I'm just gonna read through a quick list of games that are the third-party games. So we got Madden, we got football, EA Sports FC, NBA 2K, WWE 2K. We said Split Fiction, blah blah. Street Fighter, Civilization 7. Hogwarts Legacy, Bravely Default HD Remaster, Borderlands 4, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, can't wait for that. Yakuza 0, Fortnite, and of course, Enter the Gungeon 2, Hitman,
Project Fortnite's coming?
Oh yeah, imagine that, surprise. Star Seeker, I don't know what that is. Damon Ex Machina, Titanic Scion, Survival Kids.
That before you move on, that DX Machina or something like that. Was it DX Demon Machina?
Damon Ex Machina. Yes.
Damon Ex Machina. That game was on the Switch, right?
Yeah, I don't know if this is the sequel to it or
it looks like a remake, but I don't know. I've never seen that game on the Switch. Like I had the those big Joy-Cons I reviewed years ago?
Yes.
Like those bigger ones. Like that was actually based off that game. But I'm like, I've never seen this game. I've never heard about this game.
Yeah, it came out.
The trailer looked crazy. That was a cool trailer.
No, it's so according to this, it's a new game.
It's a new game? Okay.
For it, but it is part of that series or something.
Right.
Silk Song, which is the sequel to one of those games that everybody is really looking for. I can't remember what it's called.
Silk Song.
What game is this?
Yeah, it's one of those Metroidvanias that everybody really liked, and the sequel was like nowhere to be seen. What is it? Hollow Knight. The sequel to Hollow Knight.
Yeah.
That sounds
familiar. Silk Song, yeah. Everybody loves Hollow Knight, and I guess the sequel hasn't been anywhere. All right, and that's pretty much it. I kind of have to go.
I mean,
All right.
I think to wrap it all up, Switch 2, um, I'm personally excited to see it. I think it's going to do very well. What do you guys think about
Will it
the?
do as well as the Switch?
Hmm?
Will it do as well as the Switch?
That's what we have to wait to find out. Will it?
I'm gonna say no
Probably not.
because I think like that's the kind of storm that doesn't
Will it?
hit twice. You know,
It
like they were so successful. Now the Wii U was stupid. I'm not gonna say this is gonna be
Mhm.
that bad of a sequel, but I don't, I don't think they're gonna hit that. Like even the PlayStation 2 is like, oh my god, they haven't been that successful since.
Yeah.
That's one of the best selling
But
systems of all time.
I am interested in seeing what happens with like once everyone starts getting these Switch 2s in their hands, how people will kind of deal with like the whole maybe game card situation and everything else with it. Will it affect, would it be too complicated for parents to understand like certain things or what I mean? Like I don't know if these bad guys will kind of come out through like, the casual gamers or the casual fans or kids, if they if you know what I mean. I feel like I'm interested to see if there's any backlash from the casual gamers. Because I guess
You
that's
know, I'd be interested to see
Mhm.
what the demographic of gamers is these days. Because I feel like we're in a generation where we grew up with a lot of these games, and now as we're getting older, you have people in our generation, the generation before us and after us, where we're also in this economic, shift where we now have the capital to go out and buy these things. Whereas before, we were wholly dependent on our parents to buy these things for us,
Mhm.
right? So now that we're the market in a sense where we're the ones who are buying these things. You have a lot of people in our like if you go to Comic Con or a lot of
Mhm.
these different things, there are people that are like our age. They're not like younger kids.
Mhm.
They're like adults. So I'd be curious to see what the demographic is of people that are buying
Well,
more of these
I mean, I
consoles.
think there's a lot of people out there, because I feel like with our age, we're kind of shifting out of that, COVID, that coveted demographic, like the demographic that retailers or people who sell things really want.
Mhm.
So I think that the generation before us or the next two generations before us, I think they're they're doing their thing. I think they're showing their their favorite games, their loving games like Fortnite, for example,
Mhm.
Minecraft. Minecraft. Everyone thought it was gonna bomb, or at least be a terrible movie, and apparently it broke records. And I saw some footage of kids in the theater watching Minecraft and going crazy. So. I think there's always going to be an audience out there, and I think the gaming audience is strong because I'm pretty sure every teenager or every other teenager is probably a streamer or they're streaming their games. So I think,
um,
it's just a different shift than, you know, what
the
happened.
one thing I'll say about that is I feel like um there's a generation, there's a game type now that's different too, where these free to play games are kind of the big thing, or these games you kind of like Minecraft is huge,
Yeah.
Yeah, it
and
is huge.
you don't need new systems to play this
You
stuff,
actually need your phone that. Yeah.
right? And that's kind of something to think about. Like, yeah, Fortnite's coming to the Switch too, but it's Fortnite. It's not going to be like
Yeah. You know what it is? I think compared to our generation, the barrier of entry to play games is a lot lower. Like you can just have a regular phone and you can play as many games
anything,
as you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
you know.
before where you have to have a system and have to hook it up, and it seemed a lot more technical. I think nowadays, the society, everyone's a little bit more tech savvy a bit, and I think the access to games is a lot greater and better. And most people, I'm sure most people have tried playing games on their phone at least once. And I think that's kind of the difference. It's I feel like we have more different type of gamers, whereas before you had probably a couple of casual gamers and you had your hardcore gamers. I feel like now we have a great mix of people.
Well, if Switch 2 gets Call of Duty and Grand Theft Auto, it'll be okay.
Yep. Yeah,
I
pretty
doubt that I
much.
get Grand Theft Auto, but Call of Duty I do see.
Yeah, why? You don't think Grand Theft Auto can run
I
on
mean,
it?
I feel like I don't know. It
If they can get
depends.
Elden Ring on the Switch, they can get
I feel like
You
they
think
can
so? I mean, Grand Theft
maybe.
Auto
on the
6
Switch.
though. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. If you know,
Well, I don't know.
it's
Grand
just
Theft Auto.
basically just scaling down some settings and stuff, but it's
I
Mhm.
don't know. Grand Theft Auto 6 though
I think that
looks.
I think as long as it's on the PC, Xbox, and
We'll see when it comes
PS5,
out.
I think it's probably gonna just gonna be there
But
that be like that.
Rockstar would be amiss to not. Try and get it on there
I guess so.
somehow.
I guess, you know.
All right.
All right,
You
guys.
guys can continue. I have to go to bed because I gotta wake up and go work out some more.
All right. Well, thank you guys for
What time
joining
you
us.
waking up?
5. I go to work out before work and then I go work out
so
after
you
work.
better go to bed now because about to have less than a couple hours of sleep.
Yeah, I got a marathon at the end of the month, a half marathon. So
let's go, Sterl.
That's right.
Oh yeah, I gave y'all invites to the barbecue, so y'all don't have to come, but just
so you're gonna run and then barbecue.
My friend's throwing the barbecue. My friend Christine's throwing the barbecue, so I'm just gonna go to her place, which is in Brooklyn. After,
should we bring anything?
Bring yourselves. Bring a drink. Bring your girlfriends.
Okay.
You both are fiancéed out, so yeah. Bring your fiancés.
Should we bring any board games? Should we bring any
Uno
table games?
Bring a Jenga. Everybody loves Jenga. Love you guys. Gotta go.
Guys,
love you too, bro.
And thank you guys for watching, and just like and subscribe if you like this and other videos on our channel. Peace, guys. Pleasure. I'll see you guys in a second, and watch out for our next video, F-Zero.
Oh, that's never coming out.